Hi, and welcome to the Codefresh Chronicle Academy edition. There are many reasons why you may want to use a Codefresh product, like our enterprise readiness. But today, we will focus on a higher level view and especially the ability to model environment and product. So if you ever had any issue to basically correlate a microservice across different environment or even to model those environment, today's demo will be very interesting to you. So let me show you what I mean. Argo CD doesn't really have the ability to show what a developer called an application, meaning the same microservice across different environments. Because let's face it, from the developer point of view, their microservice in dev or in QA or in prod, it's basically the same thing. Yes, the configuration may be slightly different. The number of replica, the password for the database access, these kind of things may be different, but it's more kind of the config aspect. The application from the developer point of view, the code is the same really. So it's sometimes very hard across multiple Argo CD instances to figure out where is the developer work moved up to what point. Is it still in dev? Is it in QA? Is it already reached production? So part of what Codefresh offers is this ability to define environment and product. So let's look at environment first. So Argo CD doesn't have really that notion. Argo CD only recognizes cluster. But your environment may be different than a cluster. So for example, in dev, it may be just a namespace in your current cluster, but prod may be a full cluster or maybe even a couple of clusters. So if we look here at my QA environment, I can define it as this full QA cluster as well as a specific namespace in my current cluster where Argo CD is installed. So we have this ability to define cluster environment across multiple cluster, across multiple Argo CD instances. So that's one of the things we can do. So you can define your different environment, and of course you can mark the one for production as such because they're slightly different, and you usually want to single them out for metrics and stuff like that. So here we've defined our environment, and as you can see, I have what we call product. So if we look at a particular product, it's basically a collection of Argo CD application across different environment, across different cluster. So typically you have to name them slightly differently, especially if you have only one Argo CD instances, because the system doesn't have that notion of, that's the same application but across different environments. So Argo CD needs different names. So typically you use a suffix or something like that. But even if you have multiple Argo CD instances where you can name them the same way, Argo CD doesn't really have any notion of the other instances and doesn't really know what application compared to the same application in the different environment, in the different cluster. So that's why here we define this product. And when we define a product, we do a few different things. So the first thing we do is we do it through annotation. So we add an annotation into the Argo CD application itself, so the system knows what's happening. And the other thing we need to do is to define what is my version. As you can see here, I have some version, which make it a little more human-friendly, to see the version of your application. And because a lot of time you push tag for your images, just git sha, and they're very unique, they're very easy to use for the computer, but for us human, it's very hard to recognize them. So it makes a lot more sense to use this kind of nomenclature with 3 digit and stuff like that, the same there stuff. So what you can define is basically what is this version, for a particular product. Where do I pick the version? So you have to define in what file and the path in that YAML file typically, where is my version. So, and the other thing we need to define is, now I have my product and I have my different environment. Basically the goal is to promote those products, those applications from dev to QA to staging and prod and so on. So I have also to define what I want to promote. What are the different field values that I want to move from environment to environment, because typically you cannot really take the whole file. A lot of time, as I say, between the different environment, you have differences. The number of replica may be different. The secret may be different, and the URL to connect to your database may be different. Whatever are the differences. You want to be sure you pick only, you modify the file only with some specific value. So in this case, we're picking up our application version, which is in the chart.yaml, as well as in the value file. I'm basically passing the tag for my image for that particular microservices from environment to environment, and that's how I define my product. So let's go now back to our environment dashboard. And here you can see the different product I have with the different version. And I can look at a particular version of my application, and I can go compare that to different environments. So if I want to compare between dev and, let's say, prod, I can see, the differences in terms of, value and stuff like that. So here we're using the same, chart version at this point in our flow. So we have the same value, but if you had different version, of course, you would see them. And you can have, more than just two. You can pick up all your things. So you can compare some of the value between the different environment. The other thing that's very nice with Codefresh is I can take a version as part of an environment and promote it, to the next environment. So let's find one that has a different version, because else the system is going to tell me I cannot move it. So let's look at account, for example. So here you can see I'm in version 122 versus 121 QA. So I can take my product, from dev, and basically move it to QA. So the system is going to look at what are the differences. So I have, two files that are different. So I have the chart. So as my app version, which is what I use, and we update that automatically as part of our process. As well as in the value file, it's basically where I have my tag for my image, and that of course is different. That's really what I want to to promote. So from there I can do a direct commit, or if my branch is protected, or if you have some kind of process that's require some approval, you can have a pull request. So I'm going to do a commit. I'm going to leave my commit message by default, and I'm going to promote. And so the system shows me what's happening. So I have been able to promote. It was successful. So in a few minutes, the version in my dashboard is going to be updated. So that's how you can promote basically a product from environment to environment very easily. Of course, you're going to ask me, well, that's great. Here you have 5 applications, 5 products. That's very easy to do manually. But, in my company, I have hundreds of applications. So how do I promote those? Well, that's a great question. And we're in the process of releasing that. So you'll be able to do that using our promotion flow, but we'll see that in a future video. So I hope this was useful to you. So let us know, and if you have any question, please reach out. Thank you.